Okay, here we go. So in this video, I want to explore basically it's very interesting how something that I was learning about yesterday. I mean, it's more so an extension of what I've been learning about, but um and my partner also just she told me that she was having similar experiences and stuff, and it's just so interesting. So diving back into this whole thing of what you're used to will use you. It doesn't matter what it is. It's all a program, right? So you're either programmed by something that's a hindrance, that's not beneficial for you, that's holding you back, or you're programmed by something that is catapulting you forward, right? So you could be stuck inside of belief systems that limit you, that limit your capacity, that limit your ability to experience life at its fullest on, you know, an everyday basis. Or you could wake up with conscious intentions, asking yourself what the greatest ideal of yourself can be today. And it's just like when you look at that kind of stuff, it's like, oh wow, okay, there's plenty more out there, right? And that is so fascinating to me. Um, and also not just that, but like challenging myself to kind of like talk from a future standpoint, telling the story of my future rather than the past. Here's the way to look at it. And it's this simple. The past is very irrelevant. It is. Because it's more so an illusion of the mind. The only reason that there is any involvement in anything regarding the past is because we have memory. That's all. Like it's kind of interesting to think about like how life would be if that didn't even exist. So, kind of coming back to this idea that like, you know, really the only thing that matters is what you're doing moving forward. It's important, of course, to learn from things, right? And of course, the only way that you can learn from things is by having a memory. But if you have belief systems that are limiting you, that are not putting you in positions where you're completely thriving, you're going to have a very hard time with life, right? And so, um, it doesn't matter. I mean, it does matter, like whether it's, low energy, negative, limiting belief systems, or it's, belief systems that elevate you, that make you feel incredible, that make you feel like you're capable and everything. But regardless, every single day, the mind and the body is waking up to a program. It's conditioned by a very specific program. We can be addicted to the hormones of stress. That's just the way that it is. People are actually addicted to their own unhappiness and suffering. Very fascinating thing to me. Like if you ask anyone out there, like, hey, do you enjoy suffering? Do you want to be unhappy? Like they'd probably look at you like, fucking really? And it's just like, of course, nobody wants that. But what they don't want to admit is that they're actually comfortable there. And because of their identity and how their identity's been molded around that, like their identity, like even if they were to try to break out of the negative, dark, low energy bullshit, like their identity would turn around and be like, what, you're just gonna stop this now? Like you've been doing this for so long. What? It's game over now? Like there is actually attachment to it. I would argue that it's more so comfort and familiarity. And for a lot of people, they think that the unknown is what scares them. But it's not the unknown. Because the unknown is the unknown. You don't know unknown. You don't know what it's going to be. So it can't be scary. What's scary is what's being projected into the unknown, right? So stepping outside of what you're familiar with, right? Like say for instance you want to get better, right? So you decide, all right, I'm going to center myself every morning for a week, right? And that means that I'm going to sit myself down in meditation and I'm going to start breathing and becoming present with myself, right? There's an entire program that's been conditioned for X amount of years that's going to persuade you to get the fuck out of that. Right? So you're going to sit down, right? And it's going to be like, uh, hello, what are we doing here? Right? And it's going to challenge that, and it's going to be like, check your phone. Let's go get a coffee. Let's do this, let's do that. You're not going to sit here. And then that's really when you have to overcome that. You have to override that and be like, nope, you will get what you need, but right now we're doing this. And so really it's all about stepping outside of that, because there is comfort and familiarity in that. And it's just crazy how much that holds people back. Like I'm mind blown. I being on this journey of growth, of personal evolution, is absolutely incredible. It makes me realize so many things about myself. I'm very familiar with my belief systems. I'm very familiar with the self-talk. Whenever something comes up, I just, snap myself back into, like, belief systems that have been hardwired. They don't just, you don't just, slap the system, right? And they're just, like, gone. No. Like, they fight for their place. And I just think that that's so interesting. I think that personal evolution is so interesting. And we can always become better, right? But this is a process of overcoming, right? So, like, if you see yourself, if you see yourself as somebody who is a worthless piece of shit, now this is extreme, of course. Although it's also not extreme. There are a lot of people out there who, you could ask how they feel about themselves and they would say this. But looking at the belief system of being a worthless piece of shit that doesn't deserve anything good, that's not extreme for a lot of people. That's actually some people's foundation. That's some people's baseline. And I just look at that and it's like, okay, well, obviously that came from someone else and you just adopted it. You never questioned it or anything like that. But more so, the interesting thing is, the kind of like in the moment catching. Whenever you start to think something, you immediately snap yourself out of it, right? Because those moments right there are where the biggest transformations happen. Because if you're unable to catch yourself in those moments are just going to keep going, right? They're just going to keep going. Again, it's like a program. It's like a software, and that's what it's running. And so it's kind of like just like, like going through. And if you can do the gotcha, like stopping the movement and everything, you actually have the possibility of like being like, oh, look at you fucking parasite. Okay, what? Oh my God, you're fucking disgusting. Like, just catching it and everything and being like, okay, so look at those belief systems. Wow. Okay. Yep. Seeing. All right. That came from that person. That like all that kind of like, it's all about catching it. If you don't catch it, it's just gonna keep going. But like challenging it, seeing it for what it is. That's how this stuff. That's how all this stuff changes. It's just so interesting. By the way, personality creates personal reality. And personality consists of how you think, how you act, and how you feel. Change those three, and you change your life. It's that simple. Although, of course, it's not simple because it's not easy to do the whole conscious actions of, I got you, you fucking parasite. Okay, all right, we got you now. The fucking the parasite is like, and it's just so interesting because that's what it is. So catch the fucking parasites, and you do that. You can see them in fine detail and be like, oh, okay, this is where you came from, and then you put in the conscious effort to to just what's the word for it? Execute, yeah. To get rid of them, and then you build a new foundation. You have to become aware of your thought processes, your belief systems, what it is that you're feeling, where all that stuff is coming from. Become aware of that, and all of this stuff changes in a very powerful way. But of course, you have to be present with it. You have to put in the work. It's not going to change unless you show up and put in the work. So yeah, that's it.